I ended up, I want to say I was a freshman in high school. I had known about Richard Norm is his name, Mr. Norm, Dr. Norm. He's the French horn professor at the music school at LSU. He was in the Marine band. He's an excellent hornist, and he's an excellent teacher. And I admired him so much in his work and had followed him. And one day I decided to call him and ask if he would mentor me, take me on as a student, even though I was in high school. Teach me private lessons is what I wanted. And he said, no, I don't teach high school students. You know, he's very nice, but no. Well, then I'm like, you're going to take me on as a student. You're going to take me on. Just let me prove it. So I made a demo tape and I sent it to him. And he called. He's like, all right, you're really good. Yep, I'll take you on. It's, an hour. We'll do it once a week, an hour a week. It's $30 an hour. And Mom didn't hesitate. Mom and Dad worked for every penny they made, but we never went without anything that we wanted or needed or would enhance us in some way. They provided, and I just happened to play the most expensive instrument in the orchestra, but she bought me one, and there were things they went without so they could give to Angel and I, and it's really special. But I ended up studying with him. She wrote that check, never hesitated, and it kind of made sense because then I got a full scholarship to LSU because by then, I knew what I was doing, and I went through. This was going to be probably one of the most difficult recordings I make. I went through some challenging times. I had been really, really, really struggling for several years. And with my sexuality. And for those that don't know, surprise, surprise, because I have talked about this live and publicly, but I started realizing I'm gay. I don't want to be this way. I was begging God, on my hands and knees, begging God, please take this away from me. And let me stop and say something. For those that just said, ooh, or have a reaction to it, or you have kids that are gay, or a family member that is, or you have fear of it, or whatever it is, I please invite you to listen to the rest of this recording, especially if you have a child who's gay. It's not an easy path, and I did not wake up one day and say, this is who I am, or this is what I want to be, just like you didn't. I always say this, think back to the first time you ever felt like a crush on somebody, or attraction, right? But for a child, it would be a crush, like you had a crush on your teacher. You didn't consciously make the decision to have that crush. You didn't make yourself feel that way. The same thing with me. I didn't make myself feel this way. If anything, I was fighting it, trying to be the opposite. My mom asked me when I was about 15, Stacey, are you gay? And I said, no. I was actually appalled and disgusted because I did not believe that I was. And I didn't want to believe that. I wanted to be like every normal person, every normal child. I dated a couple of guys in high school. These were really wonderful people. And they try and kiss me, and I'm like a kid that's grossed out. That's my response was like that. And I'm like, this is not normal. It was not a struggle. It was the biggest struggle that I had ever been through. And I was really lost. I was suicidal. And I mean suicidal. I'm not exaggerating in saying that. It wasn't the type of suicidal like reaching out for help. And no, I wanted to die. I was trying to reach closer to God, and I felt God was failing me is how I felt. And I didn't know what to do. I prayed a lot about it, and through all of the prayers, still no change. And this was throughout high school mainly. It was, gosh, man, when I think back on it, if I wasn't gay, I think my whole experience would have been so different and probably so much better, because I was isolating so much, or trying to compensate by being funny, but I was so ashamed. I felt so much hatred towards myself and so much guilt, and I was dying inside is what it felt like. And one day I was talking to my grandmother, who it was my safe place in the world. I trusted her more than anybody. And I was sitting in her living room and I said, Mama, and we were having the coolest, like, just sweet discussion, back and forth. And all of a sudden in the middle of the conversation, I said, Mama, if one of your kids or grandkids came out and said they were gay, what would you do? And her whole demeanor changed, like abruptly changed. And she said, nope, that they would be exiled from this family. And the pain I felt in my body from that was horrific, y'all. The damage, and I'm not trying to play a victim. Please don't take me as that, because every single step of this journey with me has been for my growth, every step. Even though I have full awareness of that, things aren't happening to me. They're happening for me, and I know that, but it doesn't mean that it's not painful at times. And, all these people who've lost their families, and God, like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around because of what happened next. I ended up getting a scholarship to LSU, and the first semester I was going to live in a dorm, and then I ended up living in an apartment, but I lived in Evangeline dorm, and I was hanging, so they had two places. So they had a street called West Chime Street, and they had these little dive bars. They were just college students hanging out. One of the bars was called the Library, of all things. It was funny, right? Where you at, son? I'm at the library. But they had, what was the one next door to it? Oh my gosh, the library. Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. How does that happen, right? Can't remember, but oh my gosh, that's terrible, Stacy. You're old. Anyway, but we used to just hang out between these couple of places, and I ended up playing pool with a friend of mine one night, and this lady walks in, and she was like 10 years older than me. I had seen her there before. Long story short, she asked me if I want to go to dinner the next night, and then I realized this is a date. It's not like a friend, right? I was terrified. But I said yes, and intrigued, right? And to get to the point that I want to get to, can y'all tell that I'm uncomfortable talking about this? See? You know why? Because even at 53, I still have those childlike feelings that come up that want to feel safe, and we all want to feel that way. And when I talk about this, it brings up some painful experiences. But there's still some level of shame that I'm questioning, why am I even feeling that when I'm super proud of who I am as a person. But let's keep going. So let's just call her Donna. I don't want to use her real name. She wrote me a letter, and it was not even a long letter, but it was a letter that basically said, I really enjoyed spending time with you the night before, and blah, 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 right? It was in my car. Well, the next morning, Mom called and said, Dad wants you to bring the car out so we can change the oil. Well, I had, I think a practice or a performance. I was in every kind of music, everything, orchestra, symphony, new wind ensemble, all of it. And So I was constantly performing or practicing, and I had something going on, and she said, "That's okay. I'll just come pick up the car." And he'll follow me, or I think Angel was with him that weekend, or she'll follow me. So anyway, they come and pick up the car, and a couple hours later, I get a call from my mom, and she said, "Who is Donna?" And yeah, I feel it in my body right now, like a little kid going back to childhood, right? I was horrified. Then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that letter's in my car. And she starts grilling me with questions and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just bawling. And she said, I'm not bringing your car back. We're taking the car. You know, you're going to have to live your life. I got called a lot of really horrible names. And I need to say this on behalf of my mother. Look, she was raised by my grandmother, who just said she would exile everyone. So you see, this is learned behavior, because my mom loved me. She loved me. She supported everything I did. But within 2.3 seconds, she ripped that out from underneath me. And that rocked my world. And I didn't know how to process how you just showed up at my concert 2 days ago with flowers and love, and now I'm dead to you. And, you know, people that respond that way, it's because they either have fear or they don't understand. They don't understand. And sometimes parents are embarrassed. They're afraid they're going to be judged. Oh, you have a gay child. But look, all of those feelings are normal. It's normal to feel that way. I highly suggest, instead of being reactive and saying to your child that they're dead to you, because they could quite possibly be dead to you, and then you're having to pick up the pieces because you told them that, and then it happened, and now they're dead and you don't know what to do. I'm only saying that because I deal with that as a medium. Tough love's never the answer. She could have said, I need some time to process and think about this. But she was reactive. I'm not blaming her. I understand. It was just where she was at the time. But it was the most painful thing ever. It was painful. And she showed up the next day. I still remember it was a red and white striped bag, and it had like some of the things that were in my car. It was in the bag, like my personal belongings she'd cleaned out. And there was a letter sticking up out of the front zipper pocket, and she tossed it on the front porch. And at this point, I'm at my friend's house, right? And I told her this is where you could pick up the car. I needed to be somewhere she could pick up the car, not at a dorm. So I had stayed there the night before. She didn't know anything about Donna until now I'm at Donna's, and she's saying, who's Donna? And all hell broke loose. So she comes and she drops off the bag.